And we are live, guys. Welcome to another live stream for Men of High Value channel. My name is Joseph Darling. Today we're going to talk about truth, freedom, and family, but we're going to talk about a little bit more specifically about religion. And I'm maybe I'll delete this video. Who knows? Maybe I'm going to say some stuff that's that's wrong um, or that people will not be able to accept. Um, it's going to be very interesting the discussion we're going to have today. But I do this discussion in complete love for the people. I do this discussion in order for us to understand what the truth really is. And we want to get to the basics of what the truth is. Um, let's talk about my journey of religion. And it's not really important which religion it is, even though I've been influenced very highly by it. Um, but the reason why it's not important which religion it is because what I've come to know is that they're all pretty much the same. I thought I was really special for being in this religion. And to some extent, I understand why I felt it was special, because there are some things that that I grew up with in that religion that made such a huge difference in my life. However, once I got out of that religion, I began to see that, oh my gosh, like everyone else lives exactly the same. And we're all going through the same problems. We're all going through the same motions in order for us to, get back to heaven. And for me, that's not good enough, because all religions are failing these days. There is no one religion that I've found that comes even close to the most critical uh, aspects that are necessary for a religion to truly be the truth. So let's see if I can manage to do this without being distracted. So my goal is to find the truth and nothing but the truth. And once I have the truth, I will live it 100%. I won't depart from it. And our goal is to also create freedom, so that every single individual on planet Earth are free to do what they want to do, as long as they don't infringe upon other people's freedom. That's what's critical. Those two things are critical aspects. Knowing what the truth is, and then knowing that everyone is free to do whatever they want to do, as long as they don't infringe upon other people's freedom. And the third aspect is understanding women. A religion that does not understand female nature, and that does not have a solution for female nature, and that doesn't basically explain masculinity and femininity in all its beauty, cannot be the true religion. Or they just haven't understood it yet, right? So, so let's go through these again, or let's go through my history. I grew up being born and raised in a religion, and had wonderful parents who loved me, and I was the youngest of 8 kids. So I was the baby in the family. So basically, I got a lot of love, attention, and I was, protected from a lot of stuff that was going on in the family. And in our religion, it was, we went to church every single Sunday, like every single Sunday. We would not, like, my parents were hardcore committed. And I remember even one time we were driving to church. We lived like 2 hours away. We lived in Norway. And, we went to church every Sunday, and it was snowing and it was icy. It was cold. It was in the middle of the winter. And we still drove to church in this 4-seater pickup truck, and we were like 6 people in there trying to go to church. And I'm like, at one point in time, my mother slid on the ice, and she completely It could have been absolutely horrific. Fortunately, we didn't. It didn't hit it too hard. Like we could have fallen over and rolled over into the lake and everything. But fortunately, we're protected. And and my mom, when she tells this story, every single time she says, there was a guy who was living just above where we crashed, and he was like, "Are you guys okay?" And my mom was like, "I don't know." And then and then I was like, "We're not. Help us." And eventually I told her, "Do we have to go to church today?" And it was like, that's kind of what I grew up with. Like, we still have to go to church, even though we like crashed and we could have died and everything. So, do you understand? That's the kind of mindset I grew up with. And I stayed in that mindset basically until I was a teenager. So, when I was a teenager, I was trying to do my best according to what I knew, but I began to get some cognitive dissonance because of women, right? You grow up in your teenage years and suddenly you have the church, right? And it's telling you that you should not be focused on women, you should not be interested in women, but you've got all these emotions and all, things going on with you. And so you want to be with girls. And so that's kind of what my experience was, that I kind of want to have sex. And so basically from 14, 15 until 16 years old, I was literally trying to get into women's pants and trying to have sex, but fortunately I didn't manage to, which I'm very happy that I managed to stay away from it, and I managed to stay a virgin until I got married. I'm fired up about that, and that's one of the things that I loved for my religion. But at 18, I met a wonderful girl, and I decided that she was going to be the one. We're going to get married right now. But fortunately, I managed to stay away, and I ended up, trying to take care of some other important things first. And she ended up being one of those girls that dumped me because I lived far away. And but I was hardcore committed to this religion. Okay, that's what I'm trying to tell you guys. And even after getting married, still hardcore in that religion, in the sense of I can't marry anyone that's outside this religion. I can't do there's nothing else that's the truth, and this is it. So that's kind of my religious background. And being in that religion for a few more years after marriage, I don't know, some of you guys don't know this story, but in the beginning of this channel, my first 3 videos is about uh, my relationships with women, and having been the common variable in every single relationship where they eventually dump me every single time. So I was the common variable. They dumped me every time, and I was doing exactly the things that my religion was telling me to do. Right? So most religions are mainstream in the sense that they teach you the exact same thing. And they teach you what? They teach you monogamy. And I was doing all the right things. I was following everything that was in the scriptures. I was following what I was supposed to do. I was going to be the best husband in the world, because family was like, the most important value for me, together with truth and freedom. And well, my wife was not happy. Like, she was not enjoying herself. And the only thing that my religion could tell me was that life is supposed to be hard, okay? But it's supposed to be hard without us figuring out the answer. It's kind of like, in the next life, we'll understand. In the next life, you're supposed to suffer here, but then in the next life, we'll figure it out. And like, for me, that's like, doesn't make any sense. Like, if something is true, then we should be able to apply the principles. And once we apply the principles, we should find joy and happiness here. We should be able to create heaven on earth here, because heaven is just a continuation of what we've managed to accomplish here. So I feel very sad for the people who are like, oh, like, my life sucks, but in heaven, everything's going to be amazing. Why would it be amazing if it sucks here? Because you're the common variable for why your life sucks. So the saying of, wherever I am, or wherever I go, there I am. Meaning, wherever you are going, you are there with all your problems, right? So if you've got tons of problems here on earth, you're going to have tons of problems with you into heaven. So if you don't figure it out here, you're going to have to figure it out there, but you're going to lag so much behind everyone else that has already gotten on their exponential growth curve moving forward, right? So this is a personal development type of journey that we're on here. So that's my religious life, and I just came to the point where I began to understand certain things because I had been kind of closed-minded for so long that this is the only truth. There's nothing but this. But the only way I could figure out that the thing that I had was not true was from me opening up my mind to the fact that there's other things that can be true. And the only way I did that, I hope this is helpful for people who, who still maybe struggling with having mindsets that they've grown up with that is hindering them from accomplishing or getting the things in life that they want to get. And I what I basically had to do is I had to strip everything from what I knew to be true. Like I had to start over again and basically forget everything that I know, and let's start from scratch again, and let's build up the foundation with the things that we actually apply and know for a fact that they're true. So in this exercise is basically understanding the definition of truth. The definition of truth is that which works in the long run and in the big scheme of things. When I talk about the long run, the big scheme of things, I'm talking about that principle will work in heaven. That principle will work 1 million years from now. That principle is continuous. It's true because it's been true since the beginning of time, and it's going to be true until the end of time. Like, so sometimes when you apply those truth principles, they might not work immediately, but they might create that which is worse in the short term, but it creates that which is better in the long term, if that makes sense. Like you apply the truth, sometimes, oh, it's not working, I don't know why it's not working. Well, it's because you didn't consistently apply it for over a long period of time. So if you're not able to apply that which you believe is true for a long period of time, you can't really know for a fact, for certainty, that that principle is true. But if you apply it consistently for a long period of time, or you see other people applying that principle consistently for a long period of time, and you know those people and that they've done that, then you may know for a fact that it is true. So it's kind of like a real fact checker, apply it consistently for a long period of time. Does it work? If it does not work, obviously there's something else that needs to replace it. If it does work, then use it. Keep it in your life. Make it a part of you, because this whole journey in life is about us applying the truth to our lives in such a way that we become the truth. Just like Jesus was, in for Christians, just like Jesus was the truth, the way, and the life, meaning he applies the truth and then he lives it until he is the truth. He had to go through the same process like everyone else of understanding what the truth is and then living it. Okay? And eventually that gives you the opportunity of becoming perfect, right? According to what's in the scriptures, perfect as he is and as his Father is, right? So God is a man just like us, and we have the potential to become like he is by us living the principles of truth. And when we do that, we become true ourselves, and that has to do with integrity. That has to do with you know, being honest and being able to work, right? The fact that what you do in your life, that you have Midas touch, in a sense that everything you touch around you simply works. That is proving that you're on your way to actually being in the right circumstance and environment, basically creating heaven where you are, right? People look at the successful people, and like it looks as if they have Midas touch because they get so much money in, so much money in. But you got to understand that the reason why they're getting money in is not necessarily because they are becoming more and more like God, right? Because there's tons of rich people that are not. And the reason why they're getting all of that power and all of that, everything seems to be working temporarily, is because people that are not truthful basically buy their products. Like, for example, Pornhub, right? Like, why is that making other people rich? It's because people are still not living the truth. So people that are not living the truth are receiving benefits from the people that, you know, in society. But eventually we'll progress as a society closer and closer to the truth, because all of us have that truth in us, that light in us that guides us continuously to feel that this is not working and something's wrong with me, and I gotta fix this and I don't know what to do, and it's basically ignorance. The moment you figure out that which works, you will continuously try to apply it. It's kind of like your mind. Every time you receive a little bit more truth in your life and you apply it consistently for a long period of time, your brain becomes expanded in such a way that you can never go back to your closed-minded circumstance you had in the past, if that makes sense. Your brain, once it expands, you're like, wow, this is truth. I want to apply it, and I want to have that part of me throughout the eternities. That's what's awesome. So what am I saying here? I'm basically saying understand what the truth is, right? Which is that which works, and the way you check it is you apply it for a long period of time consistently to know if it is the truth. Once you know it is the truth, you apply it to your life and you see your life blossom. Okay, and then you go to the next principle, right? This is kind of like passive income for truth finding. All right, you establish one truth, and then once you've established that truth and you stick to it, then you can establish the next truth in your life. Figure out what is the next truth, and then you apply that consistently for a long period of time, and then that becomes a passive truth income into your life so that you can move on to the next truth. Like, does that make sense? Am I making any sense here? Because if I am, please comment down below and share your thoughts and questions. Like, I want to help you understand how to live religion in your life without any organized religion, if that makes sense. Because very often organized religion have dogmas or beliefs that simply don't work. If there was an organized religion that had the foundational pieces in place that I believe to be true, and it's not because, oh, if like I have the monopoly on truth or anything like that. Like, it's not like that. I'm just like, I've applied things consistently for a long period of time just to find out if that was true. Okay, and there's some aspects, and I'm going to get into that, what are the key foundational pieces that I need to see in a religion for it to be true. So I'm not saying at all that this is a new religion or anything. I'm just saying that purity of religion and purity of truth has to work in people's lives, in men's lives, in women's lives, in children's lives. It has to work, or it cannot be true. It has to work for a majority of people. In fact, all of the people, right? Truth is truth is truth. If anyone applies it, it works. It simply works. And if someone who applies it consistently for a long period of time, it doesn't work for them, then we've got to figure out what are they doing wrong. Like what's going on? It's working for 95% of the people or 99% of the people. What's happening there? And then we can figure out the minorities, what people are struggling with and what their history is and all of those things that's going on there. But for 80 to 95% of the people, it just simply works. That's when I know that something is true and it needs to be applied, hopefully by everyone. Because if everyone applies that truth, hey, guess what? Everything is wonderful and we now create heaven on earth. That's what I want to create. Okay, which leads me back to the next principle, which is freedom. There is nothing more important than freedom. Okay, obviously nothing when you compare it to the truth, right? Truth is critical, freedom is critical. You got to have both because they're completely interchangeable and you can't change that because freedom works. Freedom is a principle. Freedom is something that is built in us whereby we desire freedom above all. The problem with the world is that they believe that they can get freedom in different ways. And in some aspects, they're kind of right because, for example, let's use politics. Let's use socialism and capitalism. Socialism doesn't work. However, the fact that people believe that it works will eventually lead them to the truth that it doesn't work. Does that make sense? Like the more in that direction they go towards socialism and communism, there's going to be an exponential growth phase. Every single time you apply something for a long period of time consistently, there will always, 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 always be an exponential growth curve with everything. So if you're applying the truth, the exponential growth curve of bliss, amazingness, happiness, joy will always happen. But if you're applying something that does not work and you're stuck on it, exponential growth curve is going to happen, meaning it's going to become very obvious when socialism doesn't work eventually. But it's almost as if each generation has to figure it out because they have to feel it on their body. They feel that it's unequal, that everyone else has so much and yet they have so little. But they don't understand the full picture and they haven't applied consistently for a long period of time. So that's basically explaining to you freedom will eventually be the truth that everyone lives by because it works. Okay? But socialism, the reason why it doesn't work is exactly because of that. Because it uses the opposite of freedom to achieve its means. That's when you know for a fact that it doesn't work. It's not true. It can't work in heaven. Socialism, the way that it is practiced by the world today, does not work because it forces people to give something that they don't want to give so that it can be redistributed. Very, very bad idea. However, there is some truth to it. In heaven, probably everyone has so much abundance, so much love, so much of everything that they naturally share their wealth, their property, their personal wealth with other people. When that happens, when there's so much abundance, there will be no one left behind. So, in some sense, yes, we will live socialism in heaven, but it's going to be from a capitalistic standpoint of voluntarism, where we are all free to do that which we want to do. And because we know and understand karma, we actually send that out and we automatically get goodness times 10, times 100, times 1,000 back every single time. It's awesome to give to others. It's awesome to invest in others, but only if we expect that to be returned en masse. Okay, so I'm kind of just using the allegory of socialism and capitalism because for those people who understand politics and understand economy, understand history, understand how things work over the long run, you can know for a fact that socialism does not work, has never worked, and will not ever work unless it is based upon the principles of voluntarism and freedom. Then it can work over time. So I'm not saying that a capitalistic system today, when people, are ignorant and don't understand what truth is, that it's going to look fantastic. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying that the only way we can get to the heaven where capitalism and socialism can work in harmony with each other is by allowing freedom, meaning allow capitalism, because the free market in every single category of life is going to figure it out. Because eventually we're going to have an exponential growth curve in each single principle that we apply in that free market. And if there's an exponential decline curve, we will know for a fact that that thing that we were doing while living in a free market system didn't work. But it's not going to work fixing that problem by forcing others. Does that make sense? This completely goes hand in hand with truth, because it needs to be aligned together. Like, truth and freedom go hand in hand, and the only way that we can get to heaven is if we overcome ignorance. Ignorance is the opposite of truth. And the way to get to go from A to B, right? Ignorance to truth, and everyone having the truth, is everyone understanding how it works, meaning education. And not the university education, because they're basically very often teaching you the opposite of truth, of that which works, because it doesn't work. Going to college doesn't work, obviously. For those of you who still believe in that, I have to make an own video about university and college again. The point is, we need the correct education. The correct education is that which works. So anyway, let me keep going. I'll hit up the questions after that. So you see the point: truth, freedom, and then you see the last principle being family. This is the main reason why I know for a fact that there's no organized religion on planet Earth today, because I've studied a lot of them. None of them have this one principle, and I want to share it with you today. And it's a principle that works 100% of the time, and it's freaking beautiful, and no one understands it. But there's a lot of people who are beginning to understand it, but they can't manage to get themselves over the hump. And I'll explain it. It's understanding that women don't have the ability to not care. Women don't have agency. Women are like children. But this is a good thing. This is not a bad thing. If you tell them that, then they're like, oh, I'm not a child and don't treat me like a child, right? Obviously, you're going to get that response. But from a rational standpoint, we have to understand that their emotions, just like, we don't hold children accountable for what they do when they're kids, you can't hold women accountable for what they do when they're adults, because of their intense emotions, which are there for a reason. Those emotions that women experience is a good thing. We want them to be emotionally inconsistent, in terms of allowing them the freedom to feel, to express their emotions, and to get it out. But the problem is that in today's world, women are put in an environment that is very, very difficult because of us men. We're not living the truth, so when we don't live the truth, women don't automatically have the correct emotions. If we live the truth, if you live the truth in your life and you have women in your life, you will notice that women actually are living the truth around you. Okay, you'll notice that, because you know how they function. So when you know how they function, when you understand female nature, they actually respond to you the way that truth would respond to you. Does that make sense? Women are naturally good. Naturally. Men, masculinity is naturally indifferent. We simply don't care. And our job as men is to develop the ability to care, to choose to care in the correct and truthful categories of life. Right? We care, but we only care about the truth. That's a good thing, as long as we don't mix that up with forcing others. Does that make sense? So men are indifferent because of their masculinity as they grow up, and because of their testosterone and their testicles. That gives them the ability to not care because they're so focused on one thing that everything else is just left behind. We can neglect it. You see that from the point where we just like, I watch the news and it doesn't affect me at all. I leave the toilet seat down and it doesn't affect me at all. I leave my clothes all over the place. I can be dirty. Do you understand? I'm just giving examples here. But you can see in the world that men simply don't care. They just care about themselves, and that's a good thing when you know how to apply it towards truth. One more thing about this, I'm deviating from the girls now, but greed is good when applied with truth. Okay, in the sense of personal gain, as long as you live truthfully, honestly, transparently, and with integrity, is fantastic, because you're actually trying to win in life. And the only way you can win in life, as long as you've got the foundational piece of integrity and transparency and truth at the bottom of who you truly are, then the only way to win is by helping other people win. And when you give them something of value, they give you something of value back, and suddenly you've increased the value pie. Everyone has now more of what they needed, of what they wanted. So greed is a great thing when applied with the foundational piece of truth. And people are just ignorant of that fact. And they're basically saying greed is the problem. Greed is the problem. Yes, there's some truth to that if people are dishonest, if people don't have integrity. And that's the thing that we need to educate people on, that the more integrity we have, the more truth we have, the more joy and happiness we're going to feel in our lives, because people are going to want to stick around with us longer. If you're not integral, if you don't have truth, then people come and then they leave again. That's a horrific way to live your life. You want to bring people to you in such a way that they naturally come and gravitate towards you because you're awesome, right? So going back to the women don't have agency because of their intense emotions. If you don't understand how intense women's emotions are, begin to observe, begin to watch women, begin to not listen to what they say, watch what they do. Because the things that they do, I say that they're naturally good. And it's very difficult for people to believe that. And the reason why that is because what they're doing sometimes is horrific. How could women do that? But they're doing it because that's how they feel. And because that's how they feel, and it cannot be contained anymore because their emotions are like pressure cookers. It's the exact same thing with feminine men. So if you're a feminine man, you'll recognize what I'm saying here. You don't have much agency either in your femininity, do you? But you still need to be held accountable because you as a man did not search for the truth. You didn't apply the truth. Women can search for the truth, but they struggle to apply it the same way that a man with willpower, with testosterone, with testicles, with with the drive to understand the truth is able to apply it. The discipline and focus that men can have when they're on the goal for something is intense. The motivation that men are able to have compared to women is insane towards the truth. Women are able to focus for a time, but then it stops. And it exponentially stops. They just can't do it anymore. I just can't, my emotions, blah, blah, blah. But men are able to pick everyone up at the same time and then keep going because we're men. Emotions doesn't affect us to the same degree that it does women. And this is why women are not able to not care. They're not able to not care. So I could go on and on and on about this, but the real point about this video is helping you to, comment down below if you have questions. Why is he saying what he's saying? Because I could speak an hour on every single sentence I share with you guys. But what the point of this video was religion, understanding what the truth is, because right now you might be in a religion or in a belief system that is stopping you from accepting the truth and accepting that which works in the long run, in the big scheme of things. If your religion teaches you socialism and it teaches against capitalism, there's something seriously wrong with that religion. If your religion teaches you that women are at fault, or that women need to repent, or to be baptized, or to be held accountable for their sins, your religion is not right. It cannot be right, because that doesn't work. It's basically allowing force, which has been prevalent throughout histories, throughout millennia. Men have been forcing women to do what we want them to do because we know better. Well, we've come to a point in time now in history where, yes, we know the truth, but the truth is that women should be allowed to do what they want to do and be free to do it. And then it's our job to voluntarily get them to follow us because of attraction. Attraction is not controllable. So as long as men of high value develop attraction, women will naturally follow that mindset. They will naturally gravitate towards the truth if there's attraction. So I had a question for one of my subscribers, one of my clients. He said that, why do women want to sleep around if it's so bad for them and if it's so bad for society? Why are they so easy? The answer to that is because they have the pressure cooker of emotion. And because they're not getting the sexual needs fulfilled, they need sex. Okay, they're having less sex than their counterparts in the 70s and 80s. Today, they're having less than them. Okay, that's what statistics say. But they need it, so they end up sleeping around with strangers, but they don't do it as often as they did in the past because they're single. And when they're single, they don't want to be rejected, so they don't reach out that much after guys. But when guys reach out to them, well, that's when they're, oh yes, okay, but I have to screen because I'm scared that this guy's gonna be dangerous, and I also don't want to be rejected. And I want to make sure that he actually accepts me, and blah 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 blah. I could go on and on about women as well, but the whole point is, are you being held back by your religion in terms of finding the truth? And what I suggest, and this is a difficult thing to do, is to strip all of your beliefs, start over, sack everything you know to be true, and then start from scratch. What do you actually know for a fact it's true? Because you've applied it to your life consistently over a long period of time, or all of the principles, right? People will say that, oh, how do you know Three Girls in Love works if you've never applied it, blah blah blah. It's because you put together all the truths. This is how you get to the end point. You put together all of the truths, and then the answer becomes apparent. It's like, oh, it's like the epiphany, a huge epiphany. You gather all of the truth. It's kind of like you make a sale, right? Let's say, for example, something's $10, and then you make another sale, and you make another sale, and you do that 1,000 times. You're not thinking about, oh my gosh, I have $10,000. That becomes an epiphany at the end when you're done being busy. You're like, $10, $10, $10. You can't think about anything else than the $10, the next $10, the next $10. But then at the end of when you actually take a break and you count up the money, you're like, oh my gosh, I made $10,000. That's exactly how it works with the truth. You apply the thing that you know for a fact is true, and you apply that, you do that to tons of principles, and at the end, everything becomes apparent. And it's the huge epiphany, and it's an amazing way to live your life, because when you do apply those big truths, everything's fantastic. Anyway, gonna go quickly through the comments. It's been a long video. I go all over the place. Does retention help to heal injuries? It's, the question is great. But you know, like, maybe, I don't know. Maybe, oh, you cut yourself and semen retention makes it so that it heals faster. Maybe, I don't know. True, people only want to hear what they want to hear. Why do people sometimes reject the truth? Because it's different from their experience, right? So they've experienced some things, or they've had, it depends what truth it is. I can't really say. Yeah, because they want to hear what they want to hear. Of course, the truth hurts. Yeah, that's probably the best answer to that. The truth hurts. The truth is difficult to accept. The truth requires change. The truth actually makes you have to do something about it, right? The more information you get, oh, this is an important principle. The more truth you get, or the more information you get without taking action on it, the less integrity you have. Understand that principle. The more information or truth you put in your brain, the less integrity you're going to have, because you're not aligning your life with the truth. And if you exponentially are getting information, you are exponentially losing integrity. That's why I tell people that are not able to apply the things that they know to be true to stop reading. Stop trying to attain more diversified principles when you haven't applied the truth to the principles you know for a fact are true yet. Right? Like, some people are like, what? You need to read. You need to follow other people who know it. Yes. But then I would read or focus on that one principle that I know to be true for a fact, and then get that one thing right. Apply it, but apply it 100% consistently for a long period of time. You understand the mindset? The more information and truth you get, and the less you apply it, the less integrity you're going to have. And our job is to become truthful. Our job is to become truth. So it's a problem that you're getting so much information if you're not applying it. That's why masculinity is taking action, power, the ability to do. Don't lessen your ability to do by diversifying yourself with too many options and too many things to do. Choose one thing, or absolute maximum 3 things, and then massively move forward. Take action on those 3 categories. I'm not talking 3 businesses, because when I say 3 things, I'm saying, you know, having your relationships, your friendships right, your finances right, and then your business. But anyway, I could go on about that. Okay, so it's because people have emotions towards their facade. Greetings, Joseph. Hey, bro, how you doing? Can you make a video on how to watch Pride? Yeah, sure. Maybe I can make that in the future. Anyway, that's what I want to share with you guys. Hope you got something out of it. And I love you guys. I really love sharing these things with you, and I hope that it's creating value in your lives and benefits. I'll see you in the next one.